All right, so good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and thanks for joining in. We really value your time for coming in. So, couple of words of advice for today, guys. Please stay on mute. So this, as you can see, this is a one-way presentation. So please stay on mute and keep your cameras off. You can switch your cameras off if they are on. And if you have any questions while we are doing the presentation or while Damien is talking through, feel free to send it on the chat window. So if you look at the top right side of your screen, there would be a small button like a bubble or a callout. You can click there and you can send your questions in there. Okay. And what we will do is that we will collate all these questions, and Swapna will then, send them to us, and we will address them after the demo is complete. So again, welcome to everyone. And I think today is a very important day. You know, the United Nations has identified today as the World Day for Safety and Health at Work. So we all know what that means. We obviously are from the safety community. We are all safety professionals. Top three things in the United Nations agenda is prevention of occupational accidents and diseases. And the prevention bit is really important. We don't want them to happen and then do something reactively. We want to be proactive. That's what the United Nations is telling us. The second key agenda is managing the emerging risks at work. So what may or may not have been a risk today will not be the same tomorrow or 1 week later or 6 months later. So the risk landscape in companies, in countries, in societies is changing all the time. And that is something that we have to stay on top of. And one very important question, I think, which is very relevant to today is your workplace still open during the COVID-19 crisis? And a lot of us are still working through this period of lockdown in our respective countries. Very, very unique time for us. And I think it's really highlighted how safety is not something that is just done 6 months later or 3 months later in a periodic audit, but it is a everyday thing. Someone could be sick today, and if that safety exposure is not managed today, 3 months will be too late to solve anything. Yeah. So what we all know is today is World Day for Safety and Health, but one of the key things that some of us may know or not know is today is also known as the Day of the Dead. Today we commemorate all the people who have lost their lives while they were at work across the globe. And the slogan the United Nations says is remember the dead and fight like hell for the living. So we have to save ourselves, and the dead have to teach us those lessons. So really, really important day today, and thanks for making time. So what we will do, guys, is without further ado, I will introduce you to our group CEO and chairman.
Rishabh,
Very
Girish here.
excited to have him today here for the session. What's that?
Rishabh, you need to make your presentation again. Somebody took over your presentation by mistake. You have to present again.
Okay, cool. I'll do that. Thanks, Girish. Let me
Yeah.
know once it works. Yeah, thank you. All right, so Damien is with us, guys, and Damien is the group CEO and chairman for Kendra HQ and the Gibson's Group in Australia as well. He's been a decorated Australian business leader for more than 20 years now. He's been awarded by the government here for all the innovation that he's brought in the fields that his businesses work in. He has been very instrumental in expanding and consolidating the Gibson's Group. So if you are from Australia, or if you do business in Australia, you would definitely have come across the Gibson's Group, who are involved in logistics, fertilizer distribution, engineering services all across the state of Victoria. Damien is the founder of Kendra HQ and Kendra Align, the product that we are referring to today. And he recently launched Kendra Align globally as well. So without further ado, Damien, I'll transfer over to you. Thank you for making time, and let's hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Rish. Hopefully, hopefully everyone can hear me. Not a problem. Certainly reach out if I'm unaudible or my internet gets a bit flaky. So, first of all, thank you all for coming. It's great I can see a few of you guys, but it's certainly great to have you all here and taking part in trying to understand, I suppose, what Kiri Align is and how it come about, and I suppose the idea of I want to try to give you all a bit of a tour and what can possibly come out of the product. The product's designed in a way where we don't want to limit what's possible, so it's as much as the user can dream up and imagine is what we hope we can get out of Kiri Align. But as Rich has got here on this slide here, it was born completely out of necessity. Our group of companies in Australia work in fairly high risk industries, and often our staff are away from an office, so they're out in the field, in a paddock, out on a construction site or something where the managers and the supervisors don't have direct sight of those employees. So for us, we had a very good safety system in place where we had a lot of manual checklists, a lot of manual documents, and it was holding tight. It was manageable, but there was certainly some significant gaps that were starting to appear, and the Gibson's group is a very safety conscious organisation, and we spent a lot of time looking at certain products out there on the marketplace that were already built, but we just didn't find anything that really suited our requirements for managing safety and compliance. And when we were talking to other business friends and acquaintances, they also were finding a very similar struggle where there's a lot of safety products out there, but they just don't seem to hit the mark of what a business really wants. So we decided that it made sense to start our own product called Kiri Align, where we can use our own 65 years worth of history to perfect it, and get it in a package in a position where other businesses can pick it up and within minutes, certainly within hours, start using it and pick up some of those little 1%ers that we've had to learn the hard way over the past 65 years. One thing that constantly come up as a business owner was certainly, have we done enough to limit injury? What could have we done to stop injuries? Was that unfortunate incident preventable? Did everyone know how to do it? And that's sort of they were the big questions that we're asking ourselves. And we're at the point where if you couldn't answer those questions with a yes, that we have done everything we could, then we're sort of somewhat exposed as a business, that we're at the point where if someone seriously got injured, the government or certain emergency services might be able to take us to task that we hadn't done enough. So for us, we decided that we needed to really step up our safety system. We needed to automate it. We needed to digitalize it, and we had to get it to the point where it was foolproof. So we've been working with it extensively in Australia, and it's working quite well. We're comfortable now. We've tested it extensively. So India was our next logical choice that we really wanted to push it into. It's an unbelievably diverse country. It's certainly an absolute pleasure to go and visit, and looking forward to going back there, obviously, once COVID-19 issues are dealt with. So for us, it was great to be able to build a product that's taken a lot of time to fine-tune and get it out into the Indian marketplace for free. And that's sort of one thing we wanted to do here at Kiri was we wanted to provide a platform that all businesses can use. There's no barrier to entry. Our intention isn't to make a heap of money from it. It's just really to provide safer workplaces for employees and for business owners and any other stakeholder in the safety supply chain. So that's sort of, I suppose, where Kiri Align come from. This is our first webinar. Our intention is to run these every month, where I'm more than happy to drive and walk you through some of the new features. We have a big team supporting this product. Every week there's new features coming online, and we thought this is a great platform to showcase new features and certainly get feedback from users so that we can perfect it and get it as user friendly for everyone who's interested in the product. So from there, I think I'm happy to start showcasing you through the system, so that everyone can get an understanding of what it is and what it does. So this is sort of, I suppose, your landing screen. I've taken a few initiatives, obviously, to speed the process along. But once you've logged in, this is the landing page that you arrive on. And I'll just really want to take you through, obviously, the functionality of the system, how it starts, and eventually what can be done. So I've just created a demo instance for today. Try to put some relevant documents in here that I'm happy to present. And certainly, like Rish said earlier, any questions, flick them through in the messages. The team will pick them up and happy to answer them. So first of all, once you log into the system, and I understand some people on the chat here are obviously received logins as well. So hopefully you guys have got a little bit of a base understanding, and anyone who hasn't got a login, please reach out. It takes a couple of minutes and we can spin you up a system and you guys can get straight into it. But so first of all, once you log in, I always try to start with an employee. So obviously it's got a full employee section here where you can maintain all the staff within the system. Another big part of it is a role. So I'll explain the role functionality further on, but that's another major function that if you haven't set up, you can come in here and set up roles. We've designed it in a way where you can actually give you complete usability based on a role. So if you have someone in the company, say the supervisor, they might want full and unprecedented access to every part of the system, whereas a particular junior employee or someone of those standard, you might only want to allow certain features as well. You can give different permission levels for document access, as well as the ability to edit and things like that. So there's a whole administration function here where you can maintain your employees, you can maintain all your equipment and assets. There's a lot of reporting functionality, which we'll go and do later as well, but that's sort of under that administration tab. So the concept behind Kiri Align was that we needed to create a digital housing, I suppose, of company checklists and company safety documents. Most businesses and most of the people on the call, I believe, will all have a good record-keeping system that have a lot of documents, whether it's sitting in a Word or a PDF or some sort of book. So the idea of Kiri Align was to try to follow that concept and use this as a digital platform to create those and house those particular checklists, with the idea that users of the system, we can undertake those checklists and perform those tasks digitally, so that you never lose it. One of the biggest issues we had was when we did our numbers and we had hundreds of employees having to do hundreds of checklists on a reoccurring basis, we got to a point where we needed to undertake 1.3 million documents a year to be able to comfortably say that our safety standards are up to scratch. And once we got to that sort of point, we realized that we needed to employ a lot of people to just keep a track of that, maintain versions, record keeping, and it was just going to be unsustainable as a business. So that's why we decided to go down a digital path. The other big thing we wanted to focus on with Kiri Align was a forward-looking reminding system. So it's designed that once a checklist or form has been created, you can set a reoccurrence, and once it's undertaken, and it's on say a weekly reoccurrence, it's going to remind you in a week to redo that task. So it allows you as an administrator to really set the standards of the company, or I know there's a lot of auditors on the call, set the auditing standards, and then set those reoccurring, forward-looking reoccurrences. So obviously there's a calendar function. So at the moment it's fairly basic, and hopefully through the video we can start to see new things arriving. You know, so I've got some things that are due forward in time. I can look in the month of May and look at other things that may be due. So there is a forward-looking calendar, so that was quite important. And the other big important thing to note is that it's obviously mobile friendly, so you can download the app. Everything I'm going to do today you can do on the app, so you can undertake all your checklists, and that feeds straight into the system live. So the big thing we needed was that instant information. There's no point finding out that a particular employee or a particular audit or a particular task hadn't been completed, and we weren't aware of it for 3 days, because it was only then we found a piece of paper that wasn't filled in completely. So that was one big thing that we wanted, is our staff and the users of the system can undertake the forms that the business has created, and that they can do that straight away, and that the business can see that information instantly as well. So we designed the system to be like this, based around checklists. Now, this is on purpose, originally designed for the transport industry, but once we got into it, we realised there's so many other different industries out there that can utilise this particular system. So the reason we designed it in a way where we have inductions, procedures, job safety analysis, pre-starts, service checks, as well as policies, training and auditing and incident management, is because every single time we had issues around safety, or we had incidents, or we had near misses or anything significant, those were the 5 or 6 or 7 particular sections where we're constantly getting asked by either what we have workplace sort of auditors or inspectors, or the police, or certain government bodies, was they constantly came back to us and said, was that person inducted, and did they know how to do it? Was there adequate training given? Do you have an adequate policy? When was the last time you checked, that the person doing that task, had done the task safely? And we always got brought back to, was there proof? Do you have proof? Do you have proof? Because as much as you can say, yes, I showed this employee how to do that task, if that employee then was subsequently injured doing that task and was unable to say that he was trained, or be able to say that he was showed how to do a particular thing, we were sitting here going, oh, well, I'm sorry, we can't prove that. So their attitude is, if there's no proof, then it didn't happen. So for us, it's be thinking about, well, this is what we expect our staff or particular stakeholders to do. Here's a platform that you can do it on, and it will provide me with that evidence instantly. So that was a big thing, and we'll go through those soon. Another big thing was the concept around a safety score. As a business owner who's somewhat removed from the daily activities, it's quite important for me to actually know how safe our company were and what we're actually doing to make sure that we are safe. And whenever you're asked your particular management team, how are we tracking on OH&S, how are we tracking on safety, they'd always say good, oh, you're not too bad, but it was just anecdotal. So the idea of trying to provide a score that was constantly moving up and down based on our staff's interaction with the system allows us to really get some hard numbers, and then you can report on that on a regular basis to know whether your safety score was increasing or decreasing. So we'll go through that in more detail today, hopefully, if not certainly in subsequent webinars. So that's a big function of the system as well. So I thought maybe the best part to start with you, with the team, was just trying to understand the concept of these digital forms. So I've got a lot of pre-loaded forms in here, but I wanted to sort of just show you how easy it is to create these forms and what versatile outcomes you can get from it. So what I've done is created this one called checklist demo question. So you can obviously create a new one from scratch, but that can take a bit of time. So I thought I'll just pick one up pre-created so we can have a look at it. So obviously with every checklist you create, you've got the title and a description. You have a category. So the concept of these categories feeds straight into the dashboard, the safety score dashboard. So my company, we've designed it under dimension, fatigue, maintenance, mass, safety and speed. They're our 6 KPIs of safety measurement. Other business, these are all configurable. So depending on how you want to measure your safety performance, you can create your own categories. And reoccurrence, that's quite important, around how often do you want this checklist to appear. So we can create a checklist that we want to be undertaken on a weekly basis, to be undertaken on a monthly basis, a daily basis, a yearly basis, or the concept of no reoccurrence. So no reoccurrence means that this checklist is just the generic generic form that can be filled in 100 times a day, can filled in once a month. There's no real set timing from the business. It's just whenever it needs to be done, there's a form there to fill in. So we create a weekly checklist, and then you have the idea of active, inactive. Obviously, if you've got a redundant checklist or a subsequent superseded checklist, you can. So the next step, part of creating these digital forms, is step 2, the questions. So the system's designed to have different question types. So I've gone through and created examples of each question type here. So we have a yes, no, a text, a date, a number, a note, employee, equipment photo, rich text, which we can go through in video. And the concept of these is each one of these particular questions, question types, result in a different way to answer it. So a yes, no question, for example, can be answered with a yes, no toggle. A text-based question type is to be answered with an answer. A date question type obviously can get answered with a date, and so on. So we'll go through that and show you how that all comes about. You have the idea of mandatory, non-mandatory, so you don't have to. So we can unselect non-mandatory for that particular one. The next stage is acknowledgement, where there's different types of acknowledgement. So acknowledgement with a signature allows the user to physically sign it digitally. If you don't want that level of detail, you can tick a different one, and that obviously just relies in a tick box as such. So there's different sorts of acknowledgement styles. And then the fourth step of creating a digital checklist is the idea of assigning it. Now, what we've come up with is a concept of role and employee. So once you've created a checklist, not all checklists are going to be relevant to all people within the company or all users of the system. So you can manually select the employee that you wish to complete this form based on the reoccurrence, or you can actually assign it to an entire role or multiple roles. And this is quite important, because once you've created a checklist and you say you assign it to a driver role or an auditor role or something along those lines, if you go and add more employees into the system and you assign those employees to those roles, a new employee will automatically be assigned any checklist to that role. So you don't need to go through every time a new employee starts and then have to start selecting what checklists are relevant to them. By assigning them to the role, any new employee that joins under that role type is basically linked to that anyway. So that's quite important. You can also associate checklists to a particular asset, which is quite good when you want to know whether certain checks or certain things have been done on pieces of equipment. So once you've created a checklist, you have the ability to copy it. We can view it, you can undertake it, or obviously edit. So we can undertake a checklist demo, which is what I created here. So this is the sort of answers and how it would look for an employee. So this was that yes, no question. So it's to be used for a yes, no answer. So a question type could be, do you feel safe completing this task? And the person undertaking it could be a yes, no answer. The next was a text-based question type, which was provided to be an answer. So what is your job title? Might be a manager. So that's there. The next one was a date type question. So you can come in here and what was the date you were trained? So you can answer that. The next one was a number. So, you know, how many tasks are you to complete today might be a particular question. You could put 34. The next one is a note type question. And this is where you can provide a lot more information, a detailed description of events. So, you know, you can just put a larger body of text, I suppose, in there. This is an employee question type where an example of this might be, who has explained this process to you, and you can select the employees from your organisation. This was an equipment answer question. So the question could be something like, what equipment or asset does this relate to? And you can pick from a selected your asset list. You have another concept around uploading a document or providing evidence. That was a photo type question. So this is where you can grab a particular thing and upload it. We've limited it to just pictures and documents at the moment, not anything substantial. So you can grab that and upload any proof. Obviously, if you're undertaking this checklist on your mobile device, it naturally turns on your camera or your file storage on that device, so you can use it that way. This one here was a rich question type. So once we've created this, I'll go back in and show you how it looks. But the beauty of this is you can use this as a heading. You can use it as page breaks. You can use it for putting in bulk text or even uploading a particular image. So that's there. And then there was another question type that we used, which was called the video question type. Whereas if you copy a video link in there, the user can actually watch a video while undertaking the checklist, which a lot of this feedback has come from people using the system saying, oh, this is fantastic. I want to use this as a training tool. Can we upload our training, our company training videos in here, and then our staff can view it all on one platform rather than using multiple platforms. And then obviously, you know, you can digitally sign it, so we can have a record of that as well. So once you've completed a checklist, you can submit it and it's then done. And we'll go through more of the system, but if we go back to that checklist and click edit, you can see how these change. So that was that yes, no, that was that one, that was the text. So you just simply can come in here and add a new question. And depending on the type of question you want to add, will then give a particular response. You can make them mandatory or non-mandatory if you don't want a person to fill them in, and you can also move them up and down and take them away. But this was that rich text. So this here is just a Word document. So you can do whatever you want in here. You can edit, do what you need, and then click save and next, and we'll just go through the process. And then if you view that again, you can see now you've just created some space in that. So we use a lot of this rich text question type when creating bulk information that we want in person to understand and read, as well as any policies and things like that. So that's sort of the idea of the creation of a checklist, and then also the undertaking of one. You also have the ability to copy. So, you know, if you want to once you've created one checklist and you think it's fantastic, you want to copy it, you can simply do that, and might be, you know, take two. So you can copy that. I'll keep that one active. So that just creates a direct copy. So all of a sudden you can then go in there and edit that original one. And so once you've created a very good format that your business likes, you can just keep duplicating it and using it for different things. You also have the ability to move them around. So you can come in here and say, oh, look, it's a great checklist, but I want to move that to a particular policy, for example. So by doing that, it'll move that across to your policies, which has got take two. And if we go back to our original checklist under inductions, that take two's now been moved. So you got a lot of functionality. We also built in this functionality as share. So one of our intentions with Kiri Align is to build a massive library, I suppose, of checklists and digital forms that new users can access for free. So the idea of this is if you have a particular checklist, or you've got a particular business or a group of businesses or an auditor or someone like that who's actively involved, or you want to share some data with, you can just grab a link, you know, and you can copy that link and actually send them the checklist. They can then bring it into their system and saves them starting from scratch. So that's another great tool there. So, but the idea is once you've created a particular checklist, it's all based on a 4-stage process, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and it's all the same. So when you create another procedure, it's all based on the same. All we're trying to do is provide you with different sections, I suppose, where you can house particular digital forms. So it's somewhat organized rather than just a gigantic big list. And we've obviously picked up inductions, procedures, pre-starts, and service checks as those 4 main things. Another big function is a JSA. So a JSA, it's an Australian terminology. I'm not sure if it's relevant in India, but it's what we call a job safety analysis. So it's something that our employees do before they complete a particular task. And it's designed to to give them a refresher of things some safety checks they should be doing, but it also gives them the ability to have a risk calculator embedded. So if we undertake this one, which I created just for today as a demo JSA, you can create any form, however big you want it, and it could be a standard yes/no question. So you have that same ability for a yes/no answer. You can provide details, around the task, and you have the ability for a user to answer a particular business questionnaire, which may provide the risk. So in this instance here, I've just created 3 basic questions. The task you're about to complete, are there any trip risks? None, moderate, the high, and there's a very high chance of a trip risk. The choking risk, maybe, you can risk that, and then the fire risk. So based on your answer, it can give you obviously a risk level, which all these configurable, I'll show you that. And then as the person starts to answer the questions, the risk level obviously can get higher, and you can provide the answers of what you want to do there, to the point where obviously we give an extreme level, and the management team's basically saying that there. So if you look at, if we edit this particular one, instead of a 4-step process, it's just a 5-step process. So it's still the same concept there. You can still create those yes/no questions, all those functionalities still there, except we now have this thing called a risk calculator. So the risk calculator is 100% configurable. So you can come in here and add more hazard types, and you can change them here. You can change all this, and you can change the score. And by changing the score, you then can change the legend. So if we have a fire risk, for example, and there's a high chance it was 2, and we want to make that to 7, all of a sudden these numbers start to change. Our guaranteed, if that's a 7, then this might be an 8, and then this might be a 9. So all of a sudden these start to change. So you can come in and say like 0 to 4 might be low, 5 to 8 might be this, 9 to 13, and then 14 to 17. So as you start adding more hazards, all of these numbers all start to change. So you can really make this as configurable as you like. Has the exact same acknowledgement, and then once again you can assign this to particular people. So that's sort of the concept of a JSA, which just gives you that 5th step, over the top of a normal checklist. So once you're sort of starting to build your library, your own company library, based on who they're assigned to, it then starts to appear in this undertake. So just through this fiddling around we've just done in the last 15 minutes, I've now got 2 JSAs to undertake. One was this generic demo JSA, which we did by doing there. So if I go back to, say, our induction, this checklist demo questions, you can see here via the assignment that, it's not selected. So I go all, for example, and save. It will then now appear in my undertake section that needs to be done there. So you can once you turn them on, they'll then appear in the appropriate position. Policies is another way to do it. Auditing was another big thing I wanted to touch on as well. I know Swapna's done a lot of work. We've gone and created this IS 14889 safety audit questionnaire. So it's quite a considerable questionnaire, 250 odd questions. And it's a very large document. I then split it up a little bit, but I just wanted to sort of give you an idea of sort of what you can create with it. But does the organisation have a health and safety policy? Yes or no? Please provide a recommendation. If it does, please upload proof so you can do that. Does your company is there a corporate safety policy? Yes or no? So you can pretty much reproduce any particular form that you may have as a manual document can be reproduced in a digital format. And using those different question types, you can select how you want the person to answer it. So, who has signed it, so you can please indicate their position. Whether prepared as per the guidance of statutory positions, yes or no. Any recommendations. And obviously, if it's a mandatory field, then it's going to prompt the user, I've got to go and answer that. So all of these things are all just things that's a rich text to create a heading as such. Does the factory have a safety department? Yes or no? the recommendation, furnishing the following information about the head of safety department. What is the strength of the safety department, including safety officers and staff? So the functionality is unbelievable. At any point in time, you can actually just save, so you don't have to complete it. So you can save that checklist, and if you come back to it at any point in time, it'll actually pick up your answers as well. So you can go back and redo it. So you can do a checklist over multiple days. It doesn't have to be all at the one undertaking. So there's some very good auditing function there. Once again, it's all based around the same concept around this recurrence. So you can create an audit. You can then set it up on a monthly reoccurrence, a yearly reoccurrence. You could create an audit, for example, in your system. If you've got customers or clients who you audit, who are signed up to Kiri Align, once again, it's free. You can actually share this audit. So there's no reason why some of the businesses, certainly that's what we do. We've got one in here, our safety system management audit that we do in Australia, which is around documenting a safety system. Now, this was created by our auditor, our external auditor, and then he just simply shared the checklist with me, and we just undertake this internally on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis before our auditor then comes on site and actually and conducts the formal audit. So there's that there. There's a big incident management whole section where you can come in here and record incidents, different types of incidents, the severity of them. You can provide evidence. You can answer all the questions. So incident management is a big thing, as well as the investigation of that incident. So I thought it might be relevant today, actually. Today's the 28th, so I added this just earlier because one of our businesses actually had a pretty major incident today. So our staff instantly logged this incident where we had a truck catch on fire on a farm. So this was done by the driver in the field. So via the truck app, we got instant incident created. We have all the evidence instantly, so we don't need to go back and track information. At any point in time, I can download this, and pick up any information as well. So there's a hell of a lot of functionality that come back from that. And then now our investigation can continue. So I can pick that up and investigate it. I can look into the summary, provide some actions, put in some control measures and close that off. So that's an incredible, valuable tool that honestly that was used today when a truck caught on fire out in the paddock. The other concept is hazards. So we have the hazards and also near misses. So hazards is just trying to identify anything that's wrong within the workplace that might need to be fixed, that may be a safety risk. And near miss is when a serious incident may have occurred. Luckily it didn't, but we need to record it so that it doesn't happen again. So all of that functionality is built into it. There's a big document storage section as well, where you can use it as like a Google Drive, where you can upload a lot of files. You can go back and explore. You can look at anything, any files that have been uploaded in the past. That's all that functionality as well. And then there's a huge, obviously, reporting framework around it. So you can look at any JSAs. So we've got one that we can look at that's been undertaken. So all that data comes in live. You can look at it based on different procedures as well. Quick list demo done at 3:57 a day. So everything we're answering is all coming in live, and this can come in from a phone, from the field, from a desktop, but it's all completely live. And that's what a lot of our users is loving, is the fact that they don't need to pay people to check up on things. So that's a very good tool. We actually had some businesses sign up that are running a hotel, so they're using it to do all their pre-cleaning checks, all their maintenance checks as well, and different functionality. So you've also, the checklist pops up to be done. The user can, they can just ignore it, if they need to. So you can come in here and just click ignore. It'll just disappear it and put it in your ignored status. So at some point you can come back and actually undertake it if it's not relevant, for the week or task. We as a company has used it. We've got a COVID-19 self-check. So every day all staff, just enter a quick JSA around, COVID-19 symptoms. So depending on, what might might be occurring, you know, we can then bring in these risk levels, you know, so we spit it, you know, you have a cold, please monitor it, but, you know, as the risk gets higher, you know, we're saying stay home, and maybe if everyone's showing coronavirus related things, you know, we can sort of get to the point where we're saying contact a doctor. So, but we've put in here, have you travelled? So all our staff are completing this, you know, on a daily basis. And based on that information, we can then see it live once again, and we can deal with it. We can understand who they may have been in contact with, and I can come back and see all that various ways through the system, you know. So COVID-19 self-check, there's my answers, my score, you know, so it's unbelievably usable, unbelievably quick and simple. And that's sort of what we're getting a lot of feedback from all our staff and all the users of the system is how well it's working. So that's sort of, there's a hell of a lot more, but I'm conscious of time. I want to create some time so you can answer questions. Training's another thing where you can actually add training events. So if you do, you know, John Smith did get trained in a particular task, you know, it might have been equipment training or first aid training, any equipment that he might have been, you know, assigned to that we've done. So it could be procedure training on the elevator E-swing, you know, and any notes that may have been entered, and all that's SA. So as the data comes in, you never lose your information. It's always there. And as we've been playing here, obviously our forward-looking calendars start to improving. You know, so tomorrow I know I've got 2 tasks. I've got my COVID-19 self-check as well as my JSA. If I look next month, you know, I can see on this weekly reoccurrence, I've got this demo question that was added to my account. So every Monday or every Sunday, it's starting to appear. And so there's just, as you start to really build and assign it to the roles and the employees of the company, this can get quite extensive. But we have over 130 employees in our business operating across 7 entities, and with hundreds and hundreds of checklists to be done on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, annually basis. And this one system without any administration staff is keeping the whole thing alive for us. And it's certainly letting us know when things aren't getting done. Like I said, we had that incident this morning where a truck caught on fire. Straight away, I can log into the system. I can see that the pre-start was done on the vehicle, you know. So I know, you know, the pre-start in our business is, you know, have you been inducted? Are the tyres in safe condition? Are the windows in safe condition? Did you have enough fuel? So straight away, the driver filled that in, and I know that he's operating a safe truck. He's done his JSA, so he knows the job's safe. So we're just getting that information, that reassurance that we are doing as much as we can to keep that information in a central system. So I'm happy, Swapna Lee, if you want to jump on the mic and any questions that have popped up, happy to answer that. But certainly happy to field anything that might be there.
You there, Swapna?
So Rish, is there any? Yeah, I don't know if anyone can undo their mic if they want, or if they've sent some questions through there. I'm happy to pick it up and.
Yeah, there's one question, Damien, that we have received. That is about an MOC. So someone will have to talk to us what an MOC is. You know, that's probably a terminology used there. You use there in India. We obviously don't use it here in Australia. I think the question was from Mangesh, and he might be having some connectivity issues. I can see him coming in and out. Okay. So while we're doing that, Swapnil, in your interactions, you've obviously been speaking to some of the attendees. Have you received any specific questions that may have been frequently asked that Damien can field right now?
It was regarding one of the printing format; those are required by the auditors group.
Oh yes,
so they required it in terms
of
a column. So
yeah,
that,
the 3 columns. Yeah. Look, we obviously
they have specified that.
Yeah, so obviously this system was designed for Australian use, and we're getting some great feedback from many countries who are taking it on. So certainly all that feedback we pick up daily and are dealing with, and that's certainly something that we'll be addressing over the next month to make sure that the printing of a completed checklist or an undertaken, or a checklist form is in the appropriate format for country-specific regulations. So that's already come through to the team. We'll be addressing that in the short term and getting that delivered in a way that's suitable for everyone.
And 2 questions, Damien, that I've received while talking to some stakeholders. The first one really is about whether there is, can this be used on a mobile app, or, if certain employees want to use a mobile app, is there a mobile app? That's the first question. Another question that we often receive is, when the templates are being created for the first time, because there could be a fair few, is there a way where Kenra HQ can help create some of those templates and work? So maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, certainly, Rish. So certainly from a mobile point of view, it was designed mobile first. So it's 100% straight out of the box had to be mobile friendly. So there is an app. I think it's Android and Apple based, obviously, and it can work on multiple media devices. So a lot of the businesses using the system and subsequently their users may not get provided devices from their employer, so they can easily download it from the App Store, Google Play Store, and upload it onto their own personal device, which obviously you can manage that from here. So if the employee or someone is no longer with the business, you can just come in here under the administration section, under that employee, and obviously make them an inactive user so that they can't log in. So that full functionality is there from an administration point of view to controlling who has access to the system. And the other question, Rish, is certainly a great one. We're getting a lot coming from there all across our users, and our intention is to build a huge content library, as I said earlier, where a lot of these checklists you can just go in, find them on our website, and upload them into your system to save a lot of time. But we also have dedicated team in our company that can produce those checklists digitally for you. So we have no dramas. If you want a particular form or particular checklist created, we've got a team dedicated to creating that content that can do that for you. And we also have a huge library. Obviously, Gibson's is a fairly extensive group of companies with, like I said, hundreds of already pre-made checklists. So part of our thing with our industry bodies in Australia is that we've made them free to all industry partners. So, we're a big believer in trying to make workplaces as safe as they can. So there's a massive library already, and that's growing every day.
Yep. So any other questions, guys? We might take 30 seconds, and we obviously had not had.
Yeah, you can unmute and speak.
Okay, so Shailesh has a question. Yeah, Shailesh, so you can.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess. Well, we don't know your question yet, but you can unmute yourself and maybe quickly ask whatever your question is, and we'll try and answer that. Can Shailesh hear us?
Shailesh, you can use the left button to unmute yourself and ask the question. There's a button at the left-hand side.
Well, that's fine if you want to type it as well. We'll keep going during this time, and if you want to type it in, Shailesh, feel free, and we'll pop up with your question.
Meanwhile, any other questions from any other
This
participant?
is this is Deepak Pandey from Taloja. This is related to audit only, right? No, purely.
No, it's not a pure auditing product, Deepak. It actually contains various aspects of safety and compliance, like Damien was demonstrating. So auditing is one of the key functions inside it. So yes, it does have a very serious auditing system inside it. But we've gone to the extent where it covers the different parts of what a company can do proactively
Yeah.
in order for them to, be compliant as well.
Highly,
Yeah.
highly useful for safety
Yeah.
professionals.
Why I'm asking this question? Unfortunately, I just joined up maybe 5 10 minutes, 5 minutes back only, because there was some problem in connection. So what I could see the presentation.
see.
It was really good. I mean to say, I could see IS 14489 related points and other stuff, and even the screen was finally showing what we call as the dashboard, which
Yeah.
seems to be really very good. But then it suddenly question came to my mind, whether this was only because now I'm clear after your communication that it is for everything. It's a comprehensive thing. What an industry need to do with respect to EHS, I will say safety, with respect to not only practices but also legal related aspects. Am I right?
Exactly. And Deepak, what we will do, thanks for that feedback, by the way. And what we will do is this session is being recorded. So we will be uploading this to YouTube, and maybe through Swapna, we will send you a link for later playback as well. So Swapna, hopefully you can send this out to all your attendees, and that way everyone can refer to it.
Yes, Rish.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. At least for me, because I know I have joined late. So sounds good. Thank you.
Sure. No problem. Right, guys. So in the spirit of moving on, so we have about 8 to 10 minutes. If there's any questions, keep them coming. But I'll maybe just quickly try and share my screen there, if that's all right. I might shift myself. Yeah. So thanks guys to go through the demo. Maybe Girish, we can all go on mute. And we had a bit of questions. So I guess just to summarize some of those questions, guys. This is the prime motive of Kiri Align as a product. Don't forget, it is not just to build a technology solution, but it has actually been built by safety auditors and safety professionals from the two countries of India and Australia. So it is really a product that is from the community back into the community. So please leverage the product, research it, go through the documentation that's available, and we have a support team here in India for you locally. So feel free to leverage them as much as you can. So a couple of suggested next steps from here, really. The first one is, I think the most important one is, some of you have already subscribed to the free accounts of Kiri Align, and that is very good. If you have not yet, if you have not had that chance, please use today's opportunity and reach out to Swapna or one of our team members to get you an account. It can be done in a few seconds, like Damien said. That's the best way for you to start learning the system and really figure out how you can apply it to the different scenarios that you have from time to time. Okay, and like Damien just earlier said, guys, we are very eagerly waiting for your feedback. So do come and ask questions, do provide us feedback, because we really want to make it very, very relevant to the Indian context. Just on that note as well, this is a regular activity. So from here, we will have an education and outreach series for Kiri, every month. So the next webinar is on the Tuesday, similar day as today, so 26th of May. So maybe bookmark that date. You're welcome to come again. We'd love to see you. And if you have any other colleagues or any other business associates, any friends, feel free to ask them to attend as well. So our team will be in touch with you over email, and they will send you the registration link for the next session. The third point, as Damien answered one of your questions, so we are very happy to help with creating your specific checklist. So if you want a little bit of guidance and a little bit of training and want us to help out, we are absolutely happy to help out and help you build some of those. And in in any case, if you want to have a more specific demonstration of the product and really see what it can do for your specific company, Swapna would be the best point of contact for you. He's our marketing manager based out of India. So reach out to him, and Swapna and his team can do something over video conferencing, very similar to today. Obviously, you are still in lockdown in India as we are in Australia, but we can do something over the internet, and it works pretty well. And we can, have a bit of a more specific chat with you. Definitely recommend following us on our social channels, because from time to time we send out a lot of information. We are very active on social media as a company. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Doesn't really matter which one you follow. We've just got one for you, whichever platform you like. So follow the conversation, do engage, and let's build the community. And lastly, guys, we will send you a feedback link on the webinar. Like Damien said, this is a regular initiative that we have taken for the community, and we would like to make it more and more relevant. We would like to improve it with every passing webinar. So we'll send you out a link in the next few minutes. And we would really, really be thankful if you could spend 10 minutes and fill in that webinar and provide us feedback about how you found today's session, how relevant and informative was it, and what can we improve for the future ones. We'd really like to hear from you. So that's really from us, I guess. Again, on behalf of Damien, all the staff of Kiri HQ and Kiri Align, really thank you for coming in. Any final notes from you, Damien?
No, not really. I didn't know if there was another question sitting there or not. But no, look, certainly unbelievably appreciative of being able to showcase what Kiri Align is to all the people involved today. Certainly value all your feedback. So any improvements, anything that you think would make the system more usable for yourselves and more relevant for your own businesses, please provide that feedback through to Swapna, and we will absolutely work our hardest to implement that feedback. Our intention is to create this product to be relevant for people, businesses. So we just cannot stress that feedback enough. The only way we can make it better is if people tell us how to make it better.
All right. Thank you, Damien. Thanks again for your time. I know how hard it is to come by, so really, really, really appreciate you making the time for this. And Swapna, you would obviously be in touch with everyone. So on that note, everyone, thanks for coming in again. Have a nice afternoon, and we will all be in touch.
Thank you.